Come on, let's go. Let's go.
All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys.
Greetings.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Actually, the last time I checked for us, the last time we posted a podcast was about 7 or 8 months ago.
Wow.
Much has happened. Life has been lifing.
Life has been lifing.
I don't think we should go too deep into that because the last time we got back on, we did season 2. We said, hey, here's a recap of what we've been doing. And then it was another 4 or 5 months before we put another episode out. So we probably shouldn't do that. It's not a good rhythm.
Okay, let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Let's break the rhythm.
Indeed.
You want to tell people who you are if they're watching for the first time?
I am Robert Woods.
I'm Samantha Woods.
And we're the Woodses.
And
this is Cracked Vessels.
We're supposed to say it together. That's okay.
This is Cracked Vessels.
Right.
Yeah. I don't like saying it together. It's too much.
All right, thanks.
It's too much. Yeah.
Okay.
We love each other though. Let's be clear. So here's the no, because sometimes people would be like, "Oh my God!" Like his sarcasm is dry and da 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 da.
Ditto.
And I get it. Sometimes it can be dry.
Yes.
But the love is real.
The love is
love is genuine.
Yes.
And it is absolutely authentic.
Yes.
We've been through the fire. We've been through the flood. Been broken in pieces.
Okay, we don't have the money to
hence,
pay for that show.
Hence, Cracked Vessels.
There you go.
There we go.
Nice,
there we go.
Nice,
making it on broken pieces.
Okay.
Oh my.
Mighty God.
So much has been happening.
Yes.
I know that we're going to get into, what we're talking about this evening. But before we get into that, I think it's appropriate for us to kind of tackle some current event.
Let's do it.
That's been happening. And so very recently, can we say the city? We can say it. The mayor of the city of South Fulton was arrested recently for trespassing and attempt at burglary. Dun, dun, dun.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it? All the details are still looming.
Okay.
There have been some eyewitness accounts that have come out about all the details about what's going on there, and so it just sounds like, and for all those when you see this, it's already in the news cycle, so you can go to do your own homework and research on it as well. But it sounds like the mayor may have gone out of his way and ended up going on someone's property. Because he had deemed it as his dream home, he wanted to kind of see it up close and personal. But I'm like, bro, for you to go out of your way and to jump a fence allegedly and go onto someone else's property on a Saturday morning, and the way the location that it was in, the homes are so far off the road that you literally have to be intentional about going to said address.
Okay.
Right? Before you get there. So I just think there's a lot there. And he is a public figure, but his administration has not come without some type of conflict.
Sure.
Since being in office.
So if I can be honest, I didn't know it was the dream home piece. I did not know that it was far off the road. I feel like when things happen, it's almost like telephone. You get the first version, and then you get all the other versions. And one whole, I guess with a few in there, somewhere is the truth.
Sure.
And so you bringing that to me kind of just spins it, because at first I was kind of like, it was an abandoned home. Me, no. Would I do it? No. But now that you're saying that that was his dream home, etc., I think that's a little different.
For sure.
I would hope that we would be better examples. Sometimes you have to realize when you decide to be in those positions that you have a different kind of weight.
Yes, you are not above reproach.
Yes.
And now it seems as if he has to give psychological evaluation done, and so there's a lot that comes to it. So his time and tenure in the office has not come without its set of conflict. There's been a lot of back and forth between he and whether it's the police chief, whether it's city council. His administration has been a bit bumpy and rocky here in the city of South Fulton. So here's the thing. A lot of what he says, or what the soundbite that I've heard from him most often is that South Fulton is one of the blackest cities, or the blackest city in America.
Okay.
And granted, it is. It's like 92, 94%. Don't quote me on the number, but it's in that percentile. And to kind of tout that, we got to be mindful of how we move, our behavior, what we do. Like, you just have to be mindful of all those things, because when you're portraying that and saying, "Hey, we are the darkest city in the the darkest city in the country," it just carries a different weight.
Should we be saying allegedly? I don't want anyone to try to sue us.
We said allegedly.
Oh, okay. Period.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
But it's also, he also got arrested.
Yes.
And charged.
Right.
So it's not
for the alleged actions.
Well, for the alleged actions, indeed. So allegedly, don't do the air quotes, because then allegedly.
We're back.
Indeed. And so that's the current event.
Yes. So we're just tackle that.
But there's a lot that's happening.
But can I say this before you go on to the next? Our prayers go out to the mayor of the city of South.
How about the people?
And I didn't get.
What about the resident that was intruded
I would like
upon?
to finish my statement.
Okay.
We pray for him because you did mention that now. You're saying that he has to do through evaluation, so our prayers do go out to him, because sometimes when you're in those positions that carry a lot of weight, it can be taxing upon your mind. We pray for the citizens of South Fulton as we deal with the scandal, and also the person who was, what's the word?
Home was trespassed upon.
Home was trespassed upon. So yes, I would like to cover that before we move on to the next.
Yeah. Listen, if you got a leadership role, you are not exempt from the law.
Right.
You're not above it. You got to color inside the lines and know that people are watching you.
And perhaps it's almost like people are watching. It's almost like a target. It's almost like when you're in those roles, you kind of always have to think 10 steps ahead of others, if we're being honest, because all the moves you make have to be intentional.
Sure.
If you're choosing to take on that kind of role.
And maybe that was an intentional move that he made.
Right.
We don't know.
Allegedly.
We don't know.
Okay.
All right, so let's jump into what we want to kind of tackle tonight. And this is a conversation.
Your water.
Oh, Lord. I spilled my water. Oh.
It's the slowest.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. There we go. We got it. Lord, we did it. Where's Dora the Explorer when you need her? We did it. All right, so listen, we were recently on a road trip. Excuse me, I didn't get a drink of water here because we're filming this.
We'll be married this year.
13 years.
13 years. I'm so young.
Okay, we're on our way. We're traveling. We're doing a road trip recently, and we were talking. First of all, I love road trips because road trips give an opportunity for us to have some conversations that we wouldn't otherwise, because we're stuck in a car for a minimum 8 to 12 hours. That's just how we travel. And so this conversation we're having, I said, actually, let me say this. I don't know if I want to call you Sam anymore, because I feel like you're in an evolution. I feel like Sam was the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old girl.
Okay.
And Samantha is the budding, sexy baby mama, wife, MILF, kind of like, Samantha is where I'm at. And the only reason I'm going to say that because
I take all of it.
Because I love Samantha from Sex and the City.
Oh.
And I felt like her. I'm not saying that's your character. I'm saying the name because it gives off woman and fullness and maturity. And so I think we should perhaps maybe look to compartmentalize Sam and embrace Samantha.
This is a big moment.
This is big.
This is big.
This is big. This is what marriage will do for you. Marriage will give you the opportunity to see the evolution of your partner.
Okay.
And then give you the confidence to be able to speak to what that evolution is. And then also put your spin on what you think it could be. So you're helping to shape and mold, but not necessarily tell that person who they are to become.
Okay.
But you're to offer guidance. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I appreciate you for saying that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so we had a conversation, and the conversation was around preparing for marriage, because there's a lot of conversation. And to be quite honest with you, there's a lot of conversation that's going on now, and people are opposed to marriage because they're saying marriage is too much work.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I want to make that commitment. I don't know if I'm ready for that commitment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to put that kind of time in. And is there anybody out there worthy enough of me giving that title to, and me giving for the woman submitting, for the man leading?
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. What we were talking about, because I was being reflective of where we've been over these last 13 years. And the person that I was at the beginning of this marriage is certainly not the person that I am now. And the same goes for you. Mm-hmm. And that goes for your marriage as well. If you're married 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 15 years, 25, 40 years, the person that you met at the altar is not the same person that you're living with now. Mm-hmm. It just never happens. It never works that way. We grow, we evolve, we develop. Right. And one of the things that I was talking about, I was like, there's always this talk around what women need to do to be prepared for marriage. Whether it's, I don't know, whether it's healing, doing the work to heal,
right? Doing
right?
the work to heal, preparing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're whole before you accept,
mm-hmm.
or whichever. Mm-hmm.
Before you take that step.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, and maybe I'm living underneath the rock. I don't think that I am, but my biggest gripe with preparing men for marriage is that I don't know how much time we spend on that. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much credence and how much attention is given to the male preparing himself for marriage.
Sure.
And so I think we hit it on the head when we talked about the male needs to be a provider. Mm-hmm. The male needs to be a protector, mm-hmm. right? And then the male needs to be the priest over his home, meaning that he's kind of he's covering it, he's providing for it, he's protecting it. Mm-hmm. But what happens when the male is unsure about that role, right?
And he goes into it. Yeah. And
he's ill prepared for what's required of him in that marriage. Mm-hmm. And so I liken it to this because there's this thing on job versus work, right?
Okay.
Dr. Miles Monroe had a thought process on job versus work.
I see where you're going.
He said, okay, so your job is what you can get fired from. Mm-hmm. Your work is what you can never be fired from, because that's your calling.
I love it.
Right? And so I was having this conversation with you, and I wanted to take it one step further. Mm-hmm. That I think a lot of men are ill prepared for marriage and are willing and more accepting to kind of be out here. Mm-hmm. And whether it's body count, whether it's I'm not ready to settle down, whether it's I've got commitment, anxiety, or trauma that's unresolved, well, I think that's delaying, right? Mm-hmm. The opportunity for families to manifest, sure. Right? Because the male isn't showing up to work.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah,
I heard the mic drop.
No, but here's my thing. I think a lot of times, for the male that is ill prepared, that is ill equipped, mm-hmm. And uncertain about their purpose, I think that's what delays the establishment of the family unit.
Sure.
Is that I'm unclear on my purpose. Mm-hmm. I'm unclear on my reason for existence, mm-hmm. outside of my job and my career. Mm.
I can see that.
And so when the male does not show up for work, it makes it impossible for a woman to come alongside them to help them and to push them into the work that they're called to do, because they're uncertain, because they don't know what role to play.
Because he hasn't made it clear.
Because he's not made it clear about what role he needs her to play.
Right.
And so now we're getting to this whole thing of, women being in their masculine energy and men being in their feminine energy.
Ooh, you going.
And it's not, I don't even think, is your mic okay?
I don't know. I feel like I'm...
You're all over the place. It just needs...
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like, you know what it is? You have such a great, deep, sultry voice, and I feel like I just want to be like, I want to have some...
I think you just need to rest in your feminine energy over there.
I need to rest in
your
Samantha.
feminine Samantha. Rest in Samantha, and the rest will be fine.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's not me telling you what to do. I'm just sharing.
He's just giving a suggestion.
And so when the male does not show up in the fullness of who he is with a clear vision, and expectation, and as a leader, saying, "Hey, we're going in this direction. I need this, and this from you." The woman can't necessarily operate in the fullness of who she is. And pushing towards, not saying that she can't have her own.
Right, I'm going to say.
Right? But it being able to come alongside and walk with and to help carry the weight and the burden that's on the man to bring to fruition that which he's supposed to be leaving on the earth. And that shows up in the form of a business. That can show up in the form of an organization. That shows up in the form of building a family. Right? Raising children together, leaving a legacy. Legacy is not just money.
That part. Legacy
is the instillment of what you placed or invested into children. And what you invested into your community and what you leave behind. Do we still speak well of you after you're in the grave? In the grave. Right. Do we still speak well of you?
That's legacy.
That's legacy. And so many of us are going to miss that opportunity to build legacy to the fullest, to its fullest capacity, because the man's not showing up to do the work that he needs to do. And I'm not saying that's for everybody,
right?
But for the group that is uncertain and kind of wavering and leaning really hard into career and just kind of burning through women. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Right? First of all, you're messing it up for the guys that are actually building something.
Got it.
Because you mishandle these women.
And then they're upset and they're broken. And then when a good guy comes along, they may not necessarily recognize it or be in a space to receive it.
Correct.
Because they're still carrying.
Yeah. They're hurt. They're wounded. Right? So I just hear a lot of, there's a lot of talk around doing the work and healing and becoming whole and being better. Your mic is fine.
I feel like it's going down.
It may be, but we're already here. Yeah, so it's still picking up. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect.
I have your mic up loud enough, so it's good.
Perfect.
I'd like to send you back to etiquette class. You're doing too much.
I'm just being honest. But go ahead. I'm all the way in.
Okay.
But I totally agree with you. And if I could also add or say, not only just for the men who are out here, as you say, and running through women.
I mean, maybe I'm off.
No. I feel like you are covering a great piece, but I'm saying, what about also the men who are in it and who are not necessarily happy in their marriage, and they may love their wife, but it's, they're frustrated, they're short-tempered, they're they feel like their household may be kind of like all over the place because they're all those characteristics that you just stated in terms of not knowing what their purpose is, not feeling really ready for marriage, but wanting that woman, like they knew they wanted to be with that particular queen or whichever, but now they're in it and they're still trying to figure out who they are. They never really took the time to deal with who they were.
Yeah.
And then they jumped into this, I'm the man that had the household. And the wife, like you said, the wife could possibly be like wanting to be a good helpmate, but she feels kind of lost as well.
Yeah, they're both lost.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I feel like you're totally on. I'm just saying, I'm thinking it from all perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, and there's another angle we can take after this.
Okay.
So for that individual, because I've been in that space,
right,
where you're unclear and you're in the middle of a marriage, like you're in year 3, 4, 5, right, or 2, or 1,
sure,
and you're like, bro, like I know I love this individual and I love me and I love this situation. I just don't necessarily know how I see a way moving forward outside of me making sure that these bills are paid and food's on the table and the lights are on when I come home. But you get to a point where you're like, Lord, there's got to be more.
Yeah.
Because this right here isn't fulfilling. Am I supposed to live the rest of my days going to work just so I can pay bills? And I don't believe that's the call. I don't believe that's the call at all. I don't think that's the purpose behind it. And so it is committing to this continual evolution of trial and error, right?
Sure.
Exploring those things that you do exceptionally well with exceptional ease, and leaning into the gifts and the things that God already has you doing. A lot of times it can kind of unfold from career.
Yeah.
A lot of times it'll unfold through activities that we did as like coming up as youth.
Yeah.
So whether you played basketball, well, can you go coach?
Yeah.
Right? Can you go mentor? Can you be a community leader? Is there something for you to sink your teeth into that gives you an elevated sense of purpose and calling?
That part.
Because all that's going to do is enhance what happens in your own home.
Right.
Right? Across the board. And so when you feel like it's just mundane and it's the same thing day after day after day, I would challenge you, my friend, to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, what else is it that I'm passionate about? What else is it that I can do? Because what you'll end up doing, and this is from the male perspective, what you'll end up doing is you'll begin to take some of that energy and passion that you have, that you've been putting all in to your career and to your work, you'll start spreading it out, and and that burden of, man, there's got to be more, begins to subside, because you're starting to move in a way that's life-giving. And when you feel the burden lift off of you, your spouse is going to feel the burden lift off of you. Then your children are going to feel the burden lift off of you. And then everybody's able to kind of flow and fit into the mold that they're supposed to fit in. And the only reason I can say this and talk from this perspective is because it's what I'm living.
Absolutely. I'm
living this. I've watched myself come home and sit in the closet and cry after work because I seemingly have the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I feel like I'm not able to handle the load. And in essence, I was never built or designed to handle the load.
Right.
I was built and designed to handle that which it's not for me. I don't even want to go deep into that.
Okay.
I'm not built like that. To carry the weight of the world is not my responsibility.
No. Took the words out.
That's a word for somebody.
That's a word.
To carry the weight of the world is not your responsibility. Man or woman, it is not your job to carry the expectations of your spouse, to carry the expectations of your boss, to carry the expectations of the world, of your society, of your parents, of your children. What you can do, the best thing you can do for you, is to continually show up authentically each and every single day as yourself.
Say that. That was excellent.
That's it. Ditto.
Ditto. You've been a little bossy this night. But I
No. But I
No,
honestly believe that.
I absolutely agree with you. And that's similar, just a slight from the women's side. That's something that my mother told me a long time ago when we were newlyweds. She saw me trying to do all the things. Wanted to make sure that you were taken care of, and, feeling like I had to, be, I hate to say Susie Homemaker, but, Susie Homemaker kind of thing. And she pulled me aside and was like, you aren't Superwoman. You don't have to be Superwoman. Just be you. That's who you fell in love with. Don't try to put everybody before you. You know what I mean? Because when you do that, you lose you. And so that's just come from the women's side. But that when you say that, that's what I hear. That's what I think of. And I feel like, especially in our household, something that I've always tried to work on, and I'm still always working on, is that you can come home and feel like you can take that off. Because as a black man, you go out into this world, and you already got a lot on you when you walk out that door. You know what I mean? I pray for you every day, just your life. You know what I mean? And so for you to come home and then feel like you have to carry all of that, who can function like that?
Yeah, and I've made the mistake in the past of trying to do that and being that, and you end up tired, exhausted,
irritable,
very irritable, and just overwhelmed.
Yes.
Yeah, extremely overwhelmed, and so that weight is not for you to carry. Your spouse may have expectations of you. That's fine. Get that communicated.
Always communicate. Always
understand.
It changes.
Indeed, understand what those expectations look like, but then also double back with your own.
Absolutely.
And say, hey, I get that you need me to be this, but when I'm feeling this, I can't be that for you, right? And so when we have those transparent conversations, we're able to kind of shift some of the weight, some of the burden, and expectation to be like, hey, if he's having a bad day, I know I can't go to him, can't go to her with the expectation of, yo, let's get a poppin'. Because if the money ain't right, stuff ain't flowing, right? If my spirit is vexed, I don't want to be bothered. Right. If I'm tired and fatigued, I'm not interested in doing X, Y, or Z. I need to recharge my batteries, right? And so,
and respect that. Don't take it as it's you. I'm just saying that for women, or anyone, vice versa, man or woman. Don't take it as a personal thing. Because sometimes I used to struggle with that. I used to be like, well, what did I do wrong? In that moment, it's really not about you. He just needs to, like you said, recharge. He needs a minute. You know what I mean? And so don't take it personal. But I feel like that comes with maturity and experience.
It takes time. It takes time. It's you're learning the other person as you go, and they're evolving and they're changing. And the best thing you can do as you grow in your marriage is to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and knowing that person is going to change, that their opinions may shift, that their perspectives are open and subject to change, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? And it becomes your responsibility as a spouse to see those changes, to acknowledge those changes, and say, hey, you know what? I see that you used to like this. Now you're kind of like this. Like, what? Share with me. What was your thought process like, right? And so you end up bringing that person along with you on the journey of your development and your growth and your maturation. And the two here, watch this, and it feels less of you two growing apart and more of you growing together.
That's it.
Because there's tons of couples that are calling you quits because they are not comfortable with being uncomfortable in those seasons where it feels like you guys are growing apart. Right? I think it's in those seasons where you kind of have to buckle down and go back to the basics and ask yourself the core question: do I like this person? Right? Do I like them enough?
You can love them.
You can love is an action. It's a verb, right? But like is not I love you right now, but I like you.
Right.
Like you still my dog.
Right.
And because you're still my dog, you're still cool people. I'm gonna rock with you through this transition. It seems a little rocky, but I trust the person. I trust who you are enough to know that you're gonna come out on the right side of this.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, just kind of not wrap it up like end of the show, but like just kind of come back to it.
Full circle.
Thank you. It just when the male does not show up in the fullness of who he is, healed, whole, and together, concrete about the vision moving forward, nobody else has license to operate in what they're called to, because there is division at the top, uncertainty at the top. Right? Again, I use my own family as the backdrop. When I started to get into alignment, this is what people need to see.
Yes.
When I started to get into alignment with who I was to become, it then gave creative license to everyone else around me, to you, to Jayla, to RJ, to begin to flow in the spaces that they were in, that you guys were in, without fear of being like, hey, is everything okay at the house?
Right.
Is daddy all right? Is he not, like, is he gonna blow up, kind of thing? Because there were seasons where it's just like, yo, this dude's like a loose cannon, like, I don't know what he's on.
Yeah.
And it was on me, because it was unchecked and unresolved trauma.
Sure.
And fear, doubt, and frustration about things that happened that nobody else in this family had anything to do with, but I would be triggered by things that would go on, and it would immediately take me back. And only when I decided to get out in front of these things and confront them and put labels on them and compartmentalize them, was I then able to see the growth and the development of everyone else around me, because I was pointing and moving in one direction, and it gave them confidence. I wasn't just doing it for a day.
Right.
It was a season. Right? It was a season that they saw me be consistent. It was a season that they saw me go down and not give up. It was a season in which I had every single reason to walk away and to not be bothered with what was going on. But I stayed consistent. I was steadfast. And because y'all saw that, it gave you the confidence to trust that the direction I was going in was one that you could also go in.
I absolutely agree.
I feel like I'm talking too much. Sorry.
You are the talker, but I feel like what you're saying is absolutely right. And I was quiet because I love to hear that from you, because I see it, but it's different when you say it and you see it. So it's like, is it just a confirmation? So that's why I was quiet, more of a in awe, and that I'm proud of you, because I see that you really.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, because I see that you are trying. I see, like, you also, and you haven't mentioned this yet, but you also seek for your mental health and awareness.
Yes.
You know, you're religious with it. I love it, and I see the effects of it when you're done. You know what I mean? So I think
I'm a better individual.
Right. It makes you better. Yeah, because you have a place where you're able to release. You know what I mean? Because you can release things with me. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's nothing like just going to someone who's not connected with it. You know what I mean? And someone who is professional, that knows what they're talking about, and you can trust that what you say with them stays with them. You know what I mean? And sometimes, even if they don't necessarily give you advice, it's just a place to release.
Yes.
And so,
life-saving for me.
Absolutely.
Life-saving for me.
And sometimes when you say things out loud, you get your own revelation sometimes. And they also have their tools that they give you and exercise and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, sometimes when you write things, for me, I like to write things down.
I'm more of an orator. I like to communicate it.
That's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I talk through my stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. But that was part of the revelation. So this conversation that we're having was part of a revelation that we were having while we were driving.
Right.
Because I was just like, bro, there's all this talk about women preparing for marriage and being mentally there and spiritually there and financially there. And I was just like, I don't know if I received the same type of coaching and counsel when I was preparing to get married.
Sure. Right.
I think a lot of these things were assumed, and then we had some great people around us that gave us access to their lives. But I don't know if we asked enough tough questions.
I totally agree.
To prepare us for marriage. And if I could go back, 12 years ago, I will go back and ask some really tough questions to be like, yo, what did this look like?
Right.
But I for me, I was so blinded by the wedding, the reception, the invitations, the big party that we were getting ready to throw, that I didn't look deeper enough.
Sure.
And so what does this look like day one? And what does this look like on day 500?
Ooh, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
What does that look like? And hindsight being 2020, there are some really, really, really critical questions that I wish I can go back and ask. Sure. And kind of give myself the window to expedite and move through those seasons faster, as opposed to kind of circling around the desert.
I totally agree. I feel like that's something that one of the reasons why I was so drawn to when you talked about starting Cracked Vessels, because I felt like it was an opportunity for people like us who may be young or maybe young, and want to get married, and they haven't asked those tough questions, or they don't know how to even form those questions, or they just, again, they get wrapped up in the event and what the picture that they wanted, but they didn't know how to get to the picture, and they didn't know what it take to keep that picture. And so I feel like that was something that drew me to Cracked Vessels, because yes, counseling was great, and we knew the person. We love you very much. We appreciate you, but I feel like because of that relationship was already like a good camaraderie, we just kind of felt like, it's great. And I feel like having these kind of tough conversations are so helpful, because for me, my prayer would be that we're helping someone kind of, like you said, start.
Sure.
Jump start. So that way they can kind of maybe hopefully avoid some of those things, and just live. I think, yes, we got married young. I did some other things young, but I think that even if nowadays people get married older, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So let's go back just quickly. When we talk about tough questions, what do those tough questions look like? What's your credit score?
Yeah.
Right. What's your philosophy on conflict management? What was your parents' marriage like? Are they married? Are they not married? They're divorced? What is your philosophy on marriage? How do you want these children to be raised religiously, right? Where do you see your career in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see us in the next 5 to 10 years? Like asking those really, really critical questions early and often will give you a solid idea of who the other person is. And are they a short-term thinker? Are they a planner? Are they strategic? Are they thoughtful?
Have they healed from past traumas? That's huge.
Like, do you got baby mamas? Or do you got baby fathers? Or do you have crazy exes that just that can't seem to let you go? Do we need to be mindful of these things? Do you got babies out of wedlock? Like, we need to know. Like, wait, are you an ex-ho? Like, what you doing? I'm just being honest. We have to be honest. You got to ask all these questions, right?
Yes.
Because when you don't ask all these questions on the front end, and they show up in the middle of your marriage, that's traumatic.
Very traumatic, especially because in marriage, one thing I always thought was exciting, and now I'm finally enjoying that excitement, is that it's you two. It's you two.
Oh, yes.
It's you two together. And when your partner doesn't give you all of the cards and you guys are out here together, and then you're blindsided, that's the biggest betrayal.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful, but it's disrespectful, yes. But it feels like betrayal.
Isn't betrayal disrespect, though?
Yes, I just feel like
a form?
I feel like it was a bigger word. Betrayal.
Oh, my. So it's it's just a lot of tough questions that need to be asked. And again, I can't speak for every man that's out there.
Sure.
I can only speak from my own lens, right? But I got a strong feeling that I'm not the only individual that's gone into a marriage thinking that they had a full toolbox and only had a screwdriver.
Right. Or just kind of like, hey, I'm just going to see what happens.
Yeah, just kind of winging it. And I think marriage is too important of a decision to rush, too important of a decision to not be equipped for the journey, and too important, there I go, the preacher in me, too important to potentially ruin someone else's life.
That part.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just you. You can do bad all by yourself. You can drag you, right?
Yeah.
Into the dirt. But when you drag me along with you,
that part.
And you knew you were dragging me along with you,
that's
and you still drug me along with you,
yeah.
I'm ready to fight.
You ready to fight? Ditto.
I'm ready to fight.
Ditto. Now I'm saying.
I'm ready. I'm knock down, drag out. Put your Vaseline on.
Okay, we're not.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying because you had the audacity to lead me into this pit.
Sure.
And then throw your hands up in the air when you got there.
Right.
Because you didn't have a plan. And that's why you got to ask these questions. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's why you ask these questions on the front end.
Ask these questions. Also, be observant. I'm an observant person. When he shows you those little things and you're like, oh, it's okay this time. Or don't stop giving a pass. Stop giving a pass, because those are the nuggets that God's showing you. Like, you praying to God is He the one, and He's literally showing you those things, and you're like, you want Him to be the one so much. You're in awe and a facade, and you really just want to get to that goal of marriage, that you're willing to take on those things.
Either you want to get to marriage, or you just want to stay married.
Right, that part, yes. And you let those things go. Address them. Either address them. I just say pay attention to those things without giving the pass, because I feel like even when you're dating someone, and they do those things, and then you go further down the relationship, and then you're arguing and all that kind of stuff. It was already there. Like, He already showed it to you.
The red flags.
It's the red flags are all there. Pay attention to those red flags. Are those red flags that you're willing to deal with? Are those red flags deal breakers? Stop feeling like He's the only one out there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay. We could go on.
I mean,
there's a lot. There's a lot to kind of unpack there.
Yeah. I just feel like this was a great place to start, though. I think because I love listening to podcasts, so I feel like this was what triggered, because that's what you kept hearing, and I felt like this was
I was deeply triggered.
You were, yes. We talked about it for a long time on our road trip.
Because so many people are conflicted. They want one thing, but then their actions are suggesting something else, right? And so it's like, how can any two walk together unless they agree? And it's like, bro, you asking God for a spouse, but you're not even sure if you really, co-signing on what marriage is. So how can you expect God to bless you when you're uncertain about the blessing? Period. And what's required?
Period.
Right?
Yeah.
What closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, okay.
On this episode, we're
closing thoughts, okay.
On this episode, we talked a lot about the male side of preparing for marriage. What's something that you would want any couple, right?
Okay.
Any person that's interested in marriage, any person that is already married and trying to navigate through it, what would you offer? What advice would you offer to that couple, that individual that's just looking for some encouragement?
Okay.
That makes sense?
It does make sense to me, yes. Okay, for encouragement, I would say to them, I feel like marriage has different seasons, and it's how you decide to maneuver in those seasons is what will get you through those seasons. Does that make sense? So my encouragement would be to come together, be vocal about those things, not necessarily in an argumentative way, but come to a space where you all can have just a calm conversation. And literally, if you have to go back to preschool and get a potato, whoever's holding the potato has the floor. Listen to each other, because sometimes we are so quick to, I already know what I want to say, so he's talking and I don't even hear what he's saying because I got to put my point in. You don't always have to be right. You don't have to say everything. Hear what they're saying. Let them feel like they're seen. People want to be seen. So my encouragement to the couple would be to see each other. And my other encouragement would be to don't give up. It may be a little rocky right now, but go back to why you said yes to that person. Because that, to me, will make you want to stay in it. You know what I mean? Because you don't know what they're going through. You know what I mean? And so I feel like those would be some of my encouragements to them. And definitely, truly pray together, do devotional together, do something where you guys are connected throughout the day. Because that's your person. When you go home, when you leave work, when you hang up the phone with your girlfriend, when you close the door and the kids are in bed, it's just you and that person. So do something cute, whether you're texting each other, how you doing today? Just date each other.
Little nasty text messages.
Oh, God. I just said,
like the ones I send to you.
Okay, we tell our business. I'm just saying, how you doing? It's just that kind of stuff. So my encouragement would be to reconnect, go back to the index. Why did you say yes? And listen to each other.
You're going to keep holding that mic, ain't you?
It's really bothering me. But they can't see that I'm holding it. You just told people I was holding it.
Well, the mic just moved.
Oh.
I don't know if I have any final thoughts. So her thoughts were really exhaustive. I didn't say exhausting. I said exhaustive.
What do you mean? Like I covered?
You covered a lot.
Can you say it a different way?
Yes.
Like encouragement.
The final thoughts that you shared present great value for those that are listening, those that are hearing the word of the Lord. We want you to be blessed.
Did you miss us? Did you miss us because we missed you?
We're gonna find out if they missed us or not. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. But yeah, no. Listen, so that's a lot.
Okay.
You said a lot. I co-signed everything you said, and if I could sum it up, it would be to make sure you don't lose sight of the value that you found in the person that you decided to do life with.
I love it.
Right? Don't lose sight of the value that they bring, the joy, the peace, the excitement, the hope, the expectation. You're saying, hey, you're my best friend. I want to do life with you. I believe in you. I believe in your dreams, your visions, your hopes, your aspirations. And it is my job to help you get to that place.
That part.
Right?
That's what I tell him, y'all.
Oh my gosh. Here we go.
And if he tells me today that he wants to sell chicken, how do you want to sell a chicken, boo?
Indeed. Or some fish.
How can I help you?
That's it. Get you somebody that doesn't mind looking foolish on your way to where you're supposed to be.
Listen.
And you'll be happy. You'll be happy in Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So listen, that I think that wraps up this episode.
This was great.
This is good. So listen, we'll make it very plain. If this has been helpful to you, certainly give it a thumbs up. Share it.
We never said it. Yes, you're right.
Share it.
Comment.
Share.
Oh, I always do that.
Share, subscribe. And if you're feeling froggy, you want to engage in convo, comment.
Can you be nice though?
No. Say what you're gonna say.
Oh, okay.
Say what you're gonna say so we can have a healthy healthy dialogue.
I like healthy.
Not disrespectful. We can have healthy dialogue.
Right.
We're all adults.
That part.
Right? So we're not coming for nobody. But yes, share, subscribe, comment. If Cracked Vessels is an absolute blessing to you, do not be stingy with the blessing. Tell somebody else. The same thing, the same loaf of bread you eating off it. Somebody else can eat off of it as well. So I'm Robert.
I'm Sam.
She didn't even listen. She going back to the old Pat. I'm Robert.
I am Samantha.
Thank you. And thank you for watching another episode of Cracked Vessels. Be well.
Be well.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.